So you want to add that smooth motion blur to your gameplay clips for Valorant, Fortnite, Apex Legends, whatever you want. I will teach you how to do that, and there's two ways to do it. First way I will be showing you is called the high frame rate capture. Now what this means is you'll be recording your clips at a higher frame rate than 60, which is default. Now why record in a higher frame rate than 60? Well, in editing programs such as Sony Vegas, Davinci Resolve, Premiere Pro, there is this frame blend option, which basically will blend the frames together and add this motion blur that looks really clean.
Go behind.
Nailed them.
Nice.
Give me those buttons.
The downside of doing this method is when recording, it uses more of your graphics card or processor, whatever you use to record. Now this can lead to FPS drop on your game or in the recording. So it's really if you have a powerful PC. So let me show you do method one, the high frame rate capture, real quick. In order to record a high frame rate, I use OBS. And the reason why I use OBS is if you look in the bottom right here, it says 240 FPS, which is what I record at. My monitor is 240 Hertz, which is why I record at 240 FPS. So in order to set OBS to record at 240 FPS, what you have to do is hit settings, then hit video. Now it's going to be on common FPS values, change it to fractional, and then type in 240/1. Then hit apply. Then once you're done that, boom, 240 FPS. So I recommend using game capture to record your game in OBS because it uses the least amount of resources. The other thing I recommend doing is using the replay buffer, because obviously you don't want to just hit record and have like a 2-hour long video and then you have to go find your clips later. So hit settings, go into output, replay buffer, turn it on, and I do like the last 2 minutes, which is 120 seconds, and I give around 2 gigabytes of memory. Now I will be going over my recording settings. So I use MP4, I record with one audio track, and that is something that's very important. Do not use multiple audio tracks when recording high frame rates. The NVIDIA NVENC encoder will crash. I use CQP as my rate control. My CQ level is at 17, 0, low latency quality, high, blah, 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 you see it. The other thing I recommend doing is adding a hotkey for your replay buffer to turn it on and save it. So go down to hotkeys, start replay buffer, do a hotkey that you will remember to hit. So basically, let's say I hit, I don't know, F7 or something. So I would usually use the same one for start and stop. Then I would go down to replay buffer and hit something else like F9. So now I hit F, so once the replay buffer started, so let's go over here. If I hit F7, boom, replay buffer starts. If I hit F9, then it will save a clip. So the editing software I use is Davinci Resolve. And the reason why I use it is because it's free and it's good. So the first thing you want to do is open your project settings and make sure you set it to 60 FPS and hit save. Next thing you want to do is hit the edit tab so you get into the actual editing software. Open your folder and grab the clip that you want to use. So I want to use this clip. And you see if I go to file right here, it says 240 FPS. Make sure it says a higher frame rate than 60. Now you want to click on your clip, hit Fusion, shift space, and look up frame average. Now add it to your little node timeline thingy. This is basically what is going to blend your frames. So since I recorded this clip at 240 FPS, I have to basically convert that to 60. So 60 times 4 is 240 FPS. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this thing up to 4. Once you do that, now it will add the motion blur on top of the clip. So you see right here, here's a good frame where it actually adds the motion blur. As you see, my knife is like there 3 times. If I turn off the frame average, you see it just goes to like 1 frame. So now this will just add that nice little motion blur. So basically that is how to do method 1. Other than that, you would just finish editing your video and the rest of your clips and then go to deliver and you would just render out your video. All right, now we're on method 2. Method 2 is the RSMB method, which is actually a plugin in most editing softwares. And yes, RSMB is a plugin, which means you can just use your old 60 FPS clips if you already have ones that you want to use and put this plugin on top of it, and then it should add motion blur. Now, you probably think this is the better option because you could use your old clips, which I would say that is a positive, but it doesn't look as smooth. Now, the reason why I'm saying it doesn't look as smooth is because it adds artifacting motion on top of your clips. Basically, it's adding motion where there doesn't need to be motion. It's basically adding motion on top of your crosshair, the map, the kill feed, basically where it does not need motion. I will show you how to mask out your crosshair because I would say that's the most important part of the UI that gets blurred. But please, if you can, use method 1 if your PC is powerful enough. Hey, so little side note, I figured this out while I was trying to finish this video. RSMB is a plugin that I used to use with Sony Vegas, and I don't use Sony Vegas anymore because Davinci Resolve is way better. And there's actually a better way to do the RSMB method inside of Davinci Resolve, which I will show you. Okay, once you add your 60 FPS clip into Davinci Resolve, basically what you want to do is click on the clip, hit Fusion, hit Shift Space, look up Optical Flow. Once that's in there, now hit Shift Space again and look up Vector Motion Blur. Now this will add the motion on top as you see, and I would set this to like 1.5. So I just clicked to a random frame in the video, and basically this is the artifacting I was talking about. See, it's creating motion on top of the UI. You don't even see the crosshair over here. You don't see what agents this is. Now yes, this is only one frame, but if I keep going, like this, like it looks smooth, but it just creates this artifacting. And that is the downside of this method. Now, there's one way to get rid of the artifacting on top of your crosshair, or really anything, but it would take longer. So the way it is, you create something called an ellipse, right? Add that. Now go over here, hit invert. Now, basically what you want to do is go over here, go to 400%, and basically you want to find your crosshair and make the width as big as your crosshair. So just go like smaller, and then the height smaller, and you see it's creating this like circle around your crosshair. Basically just try to get that exact amount. 0.07 for this clip, I would say, and same thing on the top here, 0.007. Boom. See, that creates a perfect mask around my crosshair. And I add this little soft edge, but not too much, just a slight little soft edge, like that. Perfect. Now, throughout the whole clip, my crosshair will look fine. Let me make this bigger so you can see it. As you see, there's motion everywhere but the crosshair, which is good, but it still adds the motion blur over here on the kill feed. Sometimes on my webcam, it's like going over and bleeding onto the webcam from the motion. So all in all, use method 1 if you can, because it is better, but method 2 is a fallback option. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that this tutorial helped you add the smooth motion blur to your videos, and yeah, peace.